We're taking a look at Haven, my top indie game coming out in December, which is a story-focused exploration and adventure game set on a beautiful but polluted, distant planet. Does Haven transport you and your partner to another realm, or does it fizzle out and come crashing down to Earth? Stick around for my review to find out. Hey guys, it's Cody with Indie Game Pulse, where we bring you the hottest indie games with the coolest memes. If you enjoy the video, please click that like button. It only takes a second and it helps the channel out a bunch. Let's get straight into our review. For starters, Haven is available on PC and all consoles except for Nintendo Switch and PS4, with those ports coming early in 2021. The developer, the Game Bakers, have also described Haven as an RPG, but I would say it's more like an RPG light, with there not being any abilities to choose to upgrade, but you are still technically playing two separate roles and upgrading abilities as the story progresses. It's not an RPG in the same sense that The Witcher or Dark Souls is, but more along the lines of a Metroid title. Haven follows the story of you and Kay, who have flown an uncharted route to an abandoned planet in hopes of finding solitude together among the stars. As they discover more about this lost planet, they begin to realize that not everything is as it seemed before they arrived. Sound familiar? While the overarching story may be a little cliche, there are redeeming factors that we'll talk about in just a bit. There's also some strange pollution that's taking over the planet, and you and Kay, being the kind-hearted public servants that they are, will take it upon themselves to clean the place up a bit. So let's begin by talking about the gameplay. This game is, I think, ideally made for co-op, with the ability for you to play as one character and your partner play as the other. This would especially be interesting in the conversation portions of the game, which are again what the developers really wanted to focus on. When playing co-op, both players have to agree on what each player says or responds in every conversation, forcing the players to have conversations about how they want the relationship to move forward in-game. To me, this is an incredible idea, and I would love to see how this plays out while playing with my wife. However, while I played this solo, the conversations were still interesting, with certain responses prompting feelings of confidence in the speaking character, not unlike real-life conversations. We'll talk a little bit more about this later when we discuss the story, but I did find the discussion portions of the game to be interesting and revealing to the characters' personalities and feelings, without being too cheesy or ham-fisted. Occasionally, the conversations were trending toward the Nicholas Sparks spectrum, but it's a love story for goodness sake. Back to the gameplay, as you move around the world discovering new areas to explore and ridding the floating islands of rust, you have two modes of movement, either walking or gliding. The majority of the time in game, you'll be gliding to get from one point to the next, and this is just, it's beautiful. Zipping through the colorful world while hovering above the ground and holding hands with your partner, it's just cool and it feels really smooth and fun. However, I found the transition between the two methods of movement to be a bit abrupt, and there isn't an in-between speed. It's like having two methods of transportation around town, one being a camel and the other a muscle car driven by Dom Toretto. There needs to be some in-between movement speed for when you want to get a closer look at something, because there is a lot to look at in Haven. Another thing that was probably more troublesome was that you can't adjust the camera while you're gliding, so you're forced to look directly in front of you until you stop. You can't even lift the camera as you crest a hill, it's just stationary. This becomes annoying pretty quickly as, again, there's a lot to look at, but being forced to stop moving every time you want to see something is rough. These are both small annoyances, but bundled together they make the gameplay feel not so polished and can definitely detract from the eye-catching world around you. I do appreciate how when your characters are becoming tired, hungry, or beaten up by enemies, it's clearly noticeable in the way they walk or the color of their glowing clothes. Take too much damage in a fight and your clothes begin to glow yellow and then red as you inch closer to the point of no return. You and Kay will also begin holding their sides or walking more hunched over to show their discomfort. They don't have health bars outside of pausing the game and checking out their status section, but these small in-game indicators I mentioned go a long way in keeping your attention on the characters and not just on their status or health. One last note on the gameplay. Halfway through the game, when I began writing this review, I wrote that the battles were a little stale and repetitive. but boy did that change for the better. While the mechanics don't change much, the enemies really start to ramp up and combine attacks against you. I ended up struggling my way through quite a few close battles and utilizing different strategies with U and K to shield, speed up, or dual attack. The enemies are a little difficult sometimes to differentiate because they all share the same color scheme, but otherwise I ended up really enjoying the battle sequences. So let's talk about the story. For a game that brands itself as story-rich and narrative-focused, does Haven live up to the hype? While there were occasional cliché one-liners or surprise reveals, the creators did an excellent job of writing mature content that is relatable. A couple times I rolled my eyes during a conversation because it seemed like something that wouldn't be in a video game, but then realized these were very much like some conversations I've had with my wife. Creating realistic discussions and weighty consequences to decisions is not easily done in video games unless you, as the player, truly care about your characters. And let me tell you, when the time came for my final decisions to be made, I sat back for a moment and had to seriously consider what to do. The game promises a story filled with challenging and realistic conversations, and it absolutely delivers. I want to talk for a minute about the artwork in Haven 2, because it's honestly incredible. I know art is subjective, but this is my kind of art. The world and islands feel ethereal and immersive, the creatures are adorable, and you can pet almost every single one of them, and the color scheme of the entire game is out of this world. Pardon the pun.
Oh my god! Wow!
Not only being connected to each other, but the world around them, U and K become a part of this new planet with every discovery they make and every animal they rescue. This isn't a creature collection game, but I think the unique creatures are one of the best parts of the game and show off the amazing creativity of the folks at the Game Bakers. They created a place that I truly wanted to keep exploring and cleaning up until the very end, and U and K's joy and wonder at finding new discoveries felt like my own. I will admit that I think the artwork and world building could have been a little more creative. I would estimate 90% of the world follows the same color scheme, and when you reach that 10% that is different and distinct, it makes you realize what you've missed all along. I would have liked to see more consistent variety, but I think that's also a creative choice. U and K are stranded on one planet, so I guess it makes sense that it would mostly look the same. The soundtrack, recorded by Danger, was an incredible addition to U and K's love story. During my streams, I had several people ask who made the soundtrack, and afterward I even shared the Spotify playlist over on my Facebook gaming page. I'll leave a link in the description below so you can check out the soundtrack as well. After playing the game, there are still a few songs in particular that are connected in my mind with pivotal moments in the game, and when I hear those songs, I'm immediately just taken back to those key moments. That's how I know the soundtrack has done its job, and well. It helps to not only communicate the story, but it becomes part of it. So the question is, at long last, should you play Haven? My answer is, probably. This game is admittedly not for everyone. The pace can be a little slow at times, with the focus of the game being on exploration and relationship building, but Haven does both of those things beautifully. For anyone looking for a relaxing escape filled with some laughs, some tough, thoughtful conversations, and petting lots of neat hybrid animals, Haven is a great game, and I recommend it. That's it for my review of Haven. If you enjoyed the video, please subscribe for more indie game reviews and countdowns. Thank you to all 50 of my subscribers. Every single one of you has helped this channel grow day by day, and I truly appreciate every one of you. Also, please leave a comment below and let me know what you think of Haven, or tell me what your favorite game has been so far this month. I'd love to hear from you and talk more about our favorite indie games. For more indie game countdowns and reviews, check out the videos on your screen now, and I'll see you on the other side.